Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Wild Wild Death,
the show where we talk about all the ways people took their final mule ride in the Old West. Each week, we spin the wagon wheel of untimely demise, and whatever manner of death it lands on, we tell you a story about it. My name is Susan Busa-Leshner.
I'm Leslie Sidali.
And I'm Jack James Busa. Ride their final, final mule ride. Yeah, you never know when this is going to be the last mule ride.
So, who wants Leslie to spin the wagon wheel of untimely demise?
We do.
I do. All right, Leslie, do it. Give it a spin.
Here we go. Spinning.
What'll it land on?
It's exciting. Today, this is kind of interesting. Death by bad decisions.
I have a bad decisions death story.
All right, let's
I
hear
can't
it.
wait.
His nickname was the Pathfinder. His real name was John C Fremont, and he made his name finding the paths through the western frontier that thousands of settlers would eventually follow. Along the way, he earned great fame and fortune, and a sense of infallibility. In 1848, Fremont embarked on his fourth expedition, a journey that would affect the lives of everyone under his command. This story is called Freezing with John C Fremont.
Okay.
Okay. I can already tell there's bad decisions ahead.
Yeah, when there's coldness involved. John Fremont was no stranger to exploration. Prior to his 1848 trip, he had already undertaken 3 expeditions. Fremont's first expedition was in 1842 with the goal of surveying and mapping the Oregon Trail. His team on this trip included renowned guide Kit Carson, which is such like a guide's name. Like Kit, like you would write it in like a Prime Video original television. Well, Kit Carson leading us down the Oregon Trail.
I've actually gone to Kit Carson's grave.
Oh, well,
Where'd you have?
why does that not surprise me at all?
Weirdly, on my honeymoon. So there you have it.
That is not weird to me at all that you did that on your honeymoon. During this journey, Fremont ascended a peak in the Wind River Range where he planted an American flag, symbolically claiming the Rocky Mountains and the West for the United States. During his second expedition, Fremont continued the exploration and mapping of the Oregon Territory. Departing in 1843, his team ventured into the interior of the Rocky Mountains, including the Utah region, before reaching the Pacific coast. Fremont embarked on his third expedition in 1845 with the goal of surveying the Central Rockies, the Great Salt Lake region, and parts of the Sierra Nevada. But Fremont also organized a well-armed party of 60 men, including Kit Carson, and ventured into California. During this period, Fremont's activities went beyond exploration and mapping the territory. He became involved in military actions during the Bear Flag Revolt and the subsequent annexation of California by the United States.
Okay, it sounds like John has gotten a little spicy on that one.
Oh no, he's become famous. We're planting American flags. We're doing territories. We're mapping things out. I'm the guy. I've assembled a team of fabulous men, including Kit Carson. I am the best in my field. However, on his fourth expedition, Fremont's goal was to identify a feasible train route from St. Louis to California so that the railroad company could expand west. If this could be accomplished, Missouri would be connected via train to California. But more than that, the railway would be able to travel across country from the East Coast to the West Coast. This was more than an exploration, it was a mission of national importance. To prove that railroads could make the trip west all year round, Fremont deliberately chose to make the journey in winter
Oh,
and set out to hire an
Ugh.
exploration party. This time, the legendary guide Kit Carson would not be going on the trip. But Fremont went ahead and gathered a team of 35 men, including brothers Richard, Edward, and Benjamin Kern, who went along as artists and scientists.
Hmm.
In addition, the expedition took with them 120 pack mules. There's that mule again. Took with them 120 pack mules to carry supplies. It's a big, big expedition.
Yeah.
They set out from St. Louis in October of 1848. Here we go. The expedition traveled westward from St. Louis following the Arkansas River. As they reached Colorado Territory, the amount of early snow they encountered should have been a warning that severe winter lay ahead. At Bent's Fort, the experienced guides told Fremont that considering the amount of snow that had already fallen, continuing up into the mountains was a really bad idea.
It just seems like that would be obvious, right? It just seems like that would be an obvious thing to see.
Yeah, well, this guy, it seems as though his ego is getting in his way. Fremont didn't listen. He was determined to prove that there was an all-weather railroad path through the mountains. But maybe he also didn't like being told what to do. So he and his team and all of those mules kept going. When they reached the town of Pueblo, Fremont still did not have a guide. So, just to recap, there's already more snow than expected. He does not have a guide. He's got a bunch of mules and a bunch of men. Most of them thought this journey was too risky and did not want to travel through the heavy snow they knew was coming. Finally, a guide by the name of Old Bill Williams agreed to take the job. Led by Old Bill Williams, the expedition headed up into the mountains.
I do not think this is going to turn out well all of a sudden.
Dun, dun, dun.
What
Yeah.
month is this?
They left in October,
Oh, gosh.
so I think it's still probably in October or something, but yeah, it's a little late.
Yeah, they had a death wish.
Yeah. In November, the expedition's path took them through the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. At this point, the party had already experienced blinding snow and freezing temperatures. They crossed into the San Luis Valley. From there, they aimed to push into the San Juan Mountains. By December, Fremont's team was deep in the wilderness, struggling through snow drifts as much as 18 feet high. Temperatures were below zero. The men were at the mercy of the elements. They hacked down trees as best they could, but it was hard to make fires in the deep snow. Supplies were running low, and in the cold winter, there were no game animals around to hunt for food. The mules began to die. Not the mules! By late December, they were only around 59 mules out of the 120 still alive, so half the mules. The men took to eating mule meat to survive, and the snow kept falling. When you're eating mule meat, you know it's bad.
Well, you know what? If there's nothing else,
Oh, I'd eat a mule if I had
I
to.
imagine that mule meat is very tough. Not that I've eaten any.
You know, the mule meat is very tough in these freezing degree weather. Did you have anything else? No. At this point, old Bill Williams knew the expedition was doomed. You think?
Everybody knew that was doomed.
Yeah.
Wow.
The lowest person on the totem pole goes, yeah, this isn't working out. 18 feet of snow.
How do you even walk?
Think you just roll everywhere? We rolled down the hills. We skied to California. Anyway, it was really, really bad. But Frémont wouldn't listen and insisted they press on through the snow-bound mountains.
Sounds like fun.
I would have left. See ya later. Trapped in a frozen hellscape, the men grew weaker by the day. As food ran out, desperation set in. Some resorted to eating leather straps, while others simply collapsed in the snow, unable to continue. The men hacked down more trees to burn and huddled together to stay warm. They called this site Camp Dismal, and the snow kept falling. Circumstances became so dire that Frémont finally decided to retreat back to Taos. By Christmas Day, they had retreated to a new camping area. The men were starving, tired, and weak, so Frémont decided to send a rescue party of 4 men, including old Bill Williams, a man named Henry King, and 2 others to go to Taos to get help. The rescue party left around December 26. On January 9th, one of the men who had remained behind with Frémont collapsed and died. Frémont knew others would soon follow. On January 11th, with no sign of the rescue party, Frémont decided it was time for him to get the hell out of there. Telling his weak and starving team that he would wait for them in Taos, Frémont took off.
What a jewel.
Yeah, not a very good leader.
A captain who abandoned his ship.
Yep.
Yeah. Along the way, Frémont came across the rescue party. Only 3 of the men remained alive, just barely. He found Henry King dead in the snow a little further up the mountain. His body had been cannibalized. The mule is looking pretty good right about now.
Who cares if it's chewy?
So, they traveled on to Taos. But if they had not been helped by a band of Utes, Frémont, Old Bill, and the rest of the rescue party would not have made it. They arrived in a state of near collapse, rescued by locals who provided food, shelter, and medical care. In an attempt to recover lost supplies and assist any survivors, Old Bill Williams and Benjamin Kern returned to the abandoned camp. But they crossed paths with a band of Utes who were not so friendly and were killed. Finally, when the few surviving members Frémont had left behind were near death, a scout named Alexis Gotti returned with bread in his pockets and rescued them. Now, not to be picky, but if someone came, I'd be like, just bread?
I would be thrilled.
The survivors made their way to Taos and learned that Frémont was long gone to California, while they had nothing left but tattered clothes on their backs. Of the original 35 men who made up the expedition party, only 21 survived. In addition to Old Bill Williams and Benjamin Kern, 12 more men died of hypothermia, starvation, exhaustion, or exposure. The failed expedition was a severe blow to Fremont's reputation. Good. But he refused to take any of the responsibility, instead blaming it all on old Bill Williams, where he was once hailed as a hero. Fremont now faced criticism for his recklessness and refusal to heed warnings. However, as the years went on, Fremont briefly served as a California senator, ran for president, served as Major General in the Civil War, and later as the governor of the Arizona Territory.
Are you kidding? It's like rewarding failure.
Well, it's not just failure, like, I've learned so much from failure. You kind of killed, 11 guys, or I think 14 guys who were under your care. It's not as if, like, well, we didn't make it to California. No, a bunch of people said, hey, this is a really bad idea. I didn't even have a guide at the beginning of this expedition. It was incredibly reckless.
Criminal negligence. I don't know.
Criminal Negligence, a new perfume.
by John C Fremont.
The perfume smells of a mule. Anyway, his standing as the Pathfinder was forever tarnished. His fourth expedition stands as a cautionary tale of exploration, of ambition turned to folly, of men pushed beyond their limits, and of nature's relentless power over those who dare to challenge it.
If you'd like to know more about this story, check out the links in our show notes. You can also find us on social media at The Wild Wild Death, or visit our website at thewildwilddeath.com.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Adios, muchachos.
The Wild Wild Death is a 2222 media production.